Tesla stock is selling off today, and the reasons why might not be fully tariff related. Let's jump into it.
It is blood in the streets, and we get down to Tesla here towards the bottom of the AI and LLM watch list at about negative 12% today. So here it is, Tesla stock. One of the things to consider about our analysis, there's three things that we will consider inside of any analysis. It's the first, the market; second, the analysis, which is broken down into A, B, and C; and then number three is the profit plan. What does the next potential look like, the moves? So first, for the market, Tesla's in the AI, the automotive, obviously, the robotics market as well, and even in some of the software market as they build their own tech and in manufacturing. And so Tesla is also advantaged that they have the market of space with Starlink, and also the markets of solar power and renewable energy as well. So there's a lot of things working for them in markets. I would say the number one market that they're in that will have the most growth potential most likely will not be the automotive industry, but will be the AI industry and the robotics industry. And that's something they're focusing on with Optimus. So when you look at their stock recently, it's kind of starting to look at how it looked back in 2022. During the marked recession here that started really around September 2022, it started to sell off. And this was kind of the whole market. And it sold down to, I believe, $101 a share down there. And we saw it start to recover and consolidate. It had a nice spike there in July of 24. And then it really surged after November. This is the elections right here. After that, it surged up big time and recently sold back down. Now, the level at which it recently bounced here is a key level. So while the market sold off big time, you can identify a pretty nice support here. So this actually is a support that dates back to these levels here. Kind of see that support, that consolidation, maybe right here. Then there's a resistance, support. Here's a support right there, support, resistance. So oftentimes previous support will act as a resistance. You see that resistance there, that support. Again, that zone right there, resistance, support, support. So it bounced right there. That's a really strong level for Tesla. You can see multiple times when it's really consolidated and bounced on this level. And that's where it recently bounced. We saw it bounce there on March 13th. Now, today, big sell-off. It's approaching that level again, and we'll have to see if it can hold that level. That is one of the strongest supports that it needs to hold in order to maintain any momentum upwards or consolidate from left to right. Now, so we went through the market. Those markets are expected to grow. The AI market is expected to double for sure year over year. But we get into the analysis, and that's actually what we're looking at. There's three pieces of analysis we look at. The first piece is the chart. So according to what we just went through with the chart, there's the support level here. There's also previous resistance pretty strongly right here. You can see that level at which it's been rejected a few times. There is a resistance level. Just got rejected there as well at $273. So it's starting to get rejected there. Now we'll have to see how it reacts between these levels. If we see it break back up above, let's say we see a market recovery a little bit and it starts to push back up above this 290 in here, that would be good over the 200-day moving average, pushing up above that EMA and that previous resistance, which it may validate as a support. And that could be a nice movement for Tesla if we're going to see the stock do well in the near term. But other than that, the technicals, you can see that the RSI MACD kind of getting this downward momentum, looking like there's nothing right now that's stopping it from continuing to fall at least to this $214, $215 range. I think that could happen here in the near term. There are some things working in their favor though. So we look at that, you see it break below the 200-day moving average, which oftentimes is indication of their bearish momentum. But then we got to look at the second piece of the analysis. So this brings us to B, of part two, which is going to be the news. And if you take a look at Tesla, if we just search Tesla, we go to news, there's going to be a lot of stuff related to Elon as normal. There's going to be a lot of hype, of course. There's Tesla owners that love Tesla. There's Tesla owners that say it's doing really bad and it has to do with China, but also look at all of the people that are basically decimating onto Tesla shops with paint. Saw that in a few different countries, so some boycotts happening there, and also the Tesla semi trucks suffering more delays and a dramatic price. You know, if you have an article in the news, it's going to get 17 times more shares than just 3 times shares if it's negative versus it's positive. So always the news is going to be negative, always going to be hype or not hype. So what we want to do is we actually want to go directly to the company. So let's go to Tesla here. Now, when we go to Tesla, I don't know what they have available as far as investor relations, but let's see what they're sharing. They have their press releases here. So they have their first quarter 2025 production deployments. And this is kind of like one big article here that they share some key insights. One thing to note is their Model 3, Model Y production. They're subject to operating lease accounting. Deliveries 323,000. So one thing that I'm looking at here is outside of the numbers with their press releases and where they're going with Tesla as far as automotive, one of the things we're looking at is these Optimus robots. I believe I saw this this percentage makeup of how much these Optimus robots could impact the economy if they were used for everyday tasks. And the amount of GDP that could be affected by robots like this that could perform everyday tasks and, let's say, work at restaurants or work at different places, but also work inside homes, there is a tremendous amount of value creation if these launch in the near term. So we're going to see, obviously right now they're on the ladder. They haven't been released yet, but I will say that the one thing that we're looking at from the Optimus relations, I've seen some moves from Optimus robots, and you can see Optimus improved walk in a new update video. And you can also see that this robot has gotten some coverage, and it's been getting out into some more press recently. And it was announced in 2021, and just recently, from 2021, you see some of the developments, and it's moving fast. It's looking really good as far as how the robots are looking. It says this year we hopefully will be able to make about 5,000 Optimus robots. We're technically aiming for enough parts to make 10,000, maybe 12,000. But since it's totally a new product with a totally new, like everything, it's totally new, I'll say we're succeeding if we get to half of the 10,000. But even 5,000 robots, that's the size of a Roman legion. FYI, must stated. So that in combination with full self-driving is becoming more and more adamant as an option for cities. I just went to Scottsdale, Arizona. Waymo's everywhere. Went to San Francisco recently. Waymo's everywhere. Autonomous driving is real, and it is happening right now, and most likely Tesla is going to be the main player in the space. And a lot of people expecting their Teslas to be rentable out so that they can go do Uber rides while they sit back at their house and their Tesla just go drives for them. That's the type of value creation that's very unique, and as some numbers have been reported, could easily earn upwards of $20,000 a year easily by renting out a Tesla if it has that capability, which they're looking to progress to here very soon. I've been driving in some full self-driving Teslas. They are working very well, and they don't require intervention really at all. I was driving a a Tesla Cybertruck earlier. It was going through these crazy constructions. It was driving through the city. It was driving through the freeway. It was looking out for pedestrians. It was parking. I mean, the full self-driving was very good, and they're definitely right there, ready to be one of the biggest players, and not just the automotive space, which could impact. That's a huge industry there for automotive, but also in the actual Optimus, like the movement space of human activity, and having some robots out there as well. So that's an AI piece. We know that they're doubling down on XAI, investing more into that portion, which I believe is underrated. I think the XAI going and getting all the Blackwell chips and doubling the size of the manufacturing and getting those AI data centers ready puts them in a position to capitalize on what will be more computing power necessary to run much of the AI models that most likely will communicate and be running with these robots. So it will take a lot of data to run all these things. And you can see a lot of new data on how these robots are performing tasks, and they're getting more and more efficient with less energy usage. So that being said, the news looks really good. Number 3 of the outlook, the analysis, or C of number 2 in our analysis, is going to be the financials. So if we take a look at Tesla stock, you can actually check the financials here. They are at a market cap. I believe they're still over $1 trillion, are they? Oh, they sunk below $1 trillion. So they're at $750 billion market cap. Head over to financials. This is what we're seeing. They've recently missed their earnings per share, as well as their revenue each quarter throughout 2024. So we'll have to see what quarter one looks like and how that reports. But again, every quarter they missed. Now let's take a look back from March though, because if we go beginning of 2024, take a look at the revenue. You got 21 billion, then you got 25 billion, then you got 25 billion again, and 25 billion again. So revenue holding steady, whether it's their charging stations, which actually are getting a lot more momentum than people realize, or it's the other revenue streams that they're getting. They're holding that $25 billion revenue. Now, when you look at the net income was here at 1 billion, to the next quarter 1.5, 2 billion, and then 2.3 billion. So the net income was increasing, meaning that they are increasing their profit margins there. But the thing that we're watching too is the year over year. The net income is down year over year. So you got to watch that, see if they are going to be down year over year for too much longer, or if they can make a recovery there in quarter one. Now, the other thing is, if you have Elon in the news side, so this is in the financials, but in the news side, if you have Elon focusing pretty heavily on, let's say, Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, or SpaceX, or some of the other companies, I think it's fine for most of the time. But when you start to bring in SpaceX in what they're doing right now, how heavy it's getting, and also Doge, I mean, that's a lot to focus on and still run Tesla very efficiently. So, you hope the stewardship is exemplary in not just, Elon's involvement, but also the managers and who's working there in Tesla, and that it is staying true to the same type of leadership that would drive progress even when Elon is not around. And that's just something you have to consider. Now, it seems to be, as they're holding revenue quite strong, but it's still a consideration that you got to look at. Other than that, financials, revenue holding strong. News, in my eyes, aside from obviously the public eye in Elon, and maybe there's controversy, there is controversy, but when it comes to the value provided from looking at what the company is building and the type of products that they're building and how they're going to service, or how they service humanity, I believe that there is a stronger value proposition than value. They are creating value, and it's going to be tremendous if Optimus continues to become fully operational and something that they sell, Optimus could be absolutely tremendously valuable to the economy. So you got to keep that in mind too. That could be a $1 trillion company in itself just with Optimus. So very, very interesting to watch. So with the three analysis, or A, B, and C, I would say the financials still are holding, and we're expecting them to hold. We'll see if they hold in quarter 1, as there has been a little bit more controversy after the election. So we'll see if that was a revenue boost or revenue tank. We'll have to see. When it comes to the chart, we have some good news here if it breaks above that 280. Otherwise, it's still looking a little bit bearish there, and I'll be watching to see if we can take advantage of it. We go trade live every morning, and if you guys want to watch, it's that second link below to watch me trade live tomorrow. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.